Hey guys, welcome to the Desi Trip podcast with me, Viraj and Akshay. To discuss today's episode, which is sporting stories, we have with us Abhimanyu and Aakash. Aakash plays for Jamshedpur FC, who are in the ISL, Indian Super League, and Abhimanyu is Bengal's Ranji Trophy captain. And he led us to the Ranji Trophy final for the first time in 13 years, which is a great achievement. First things first, I'd like to thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate you all taking some time out and helping us learn some new things, helping us understand your sporting journeys and inspire all our viewers also. Thanks,
No,
guys.
thanks for having us.
Mhm.
Chalo.
So I guess firstly we can start off with you guys giving your apologies real quick. Like, do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so you guys have got to chase like every boy's dream, like taking up sports. So I think that like for the rest of us who are stuck with 9 to 5s, I think you should make a mini statement. Like, what do you have to say for that?
I apologize for chasing my dream.
Firstly, how did you realize you wanted to go forward with cricket and football? Like, do you remember the first time you thought that, yeah, I can take this sport up seriously? Like, this is something I can do professionally. Do you remember anything like that?
I think for me, I loved cricket as a young kid. As in India, probably every other kid just holds the cricket bat and starts playing cricket. So that was something which happens to everybody. And then my dad was a cricket lover, and he used to play for his office teams and everything on every Sunday. So he would take me to the ground, and I would watch games. I would help them, probably throw some balls to them. They'd use me as a substitute fielder, which was really bad at that time, just to get to field and not too bad. That was bad. But yeah, he eventually saw my interest in cricket, and I was like introduced to a cricket academy and things like that. And then I started playing cricket, and eventually I was about 11 when I shifted to Calcutta to
Okay.
play further, because Uttarakhand didn't have affiliation at that time. They've got the affiliation from BCCI a couple of years back. Shift to Calcutta and stay in a place called Bonga, which is about 2.5 hours from Calcutta.
Hmm.
And then from there, I played for Bengal at the junior levels. And
So when's the first time you thought that, yeah, man, I'm actually pretty good at this. Like, I could become professional. Like, did you ever have a moment like that?
I think I always wanted to play for the country. As in, when you play cricket, you always want to represent your country. But for me, I guess that moment was when I was selected for the under 16 state team. I was 14 years old, and I made it to the team to go to the Eden Gardens. And there's a notice board thing, which is like a dream for every player to see your name in that list. And that's
Hmm.
like the first step to the path you want to go to. You're playing for
Hmm.
the state, and you're representing the under 16 state team. And that was the first step. I thought I could just go pro and play for the senior team and things like that. That was like the first step. So, yeah,
That's
That's
it was
great,
a
mad.
really
man.
good moment. I really enjoyed watching my name on that list. It's really proud moment for my
I
family
can
also.
imagine. That's crazy, man. And Akash, as for you?
I think it was when I was in school because we used to have a lot of school team tournaments and travel all over the place to play. And I think a lot of people would talk to me after games and ask me if I play for any club, if I've ever considered taking the sport up professionally. And I honestly did. Like initially when I was naive when I was like 13, 14, 15. So I always thought, yeah, I can make it professionally. But then a lot of people would tell me that it's not the right option. You should go to college, get a job, and the regular
Yeah.
things all people always say. But and I think during the Covento Cup when a lot of people scouted me and they said you have the potential to make it big, and you need to work hard and stick to your sport. You have the potential to play for your country and play for big clubs in India. I think that's when I realized, and I thought maybe I should actually give this a shot. And
Hmm.
thankfully I had my parents backing, so that was something that I really appreciate, because if they told me I don't think it's a good idea, I probably wouldn't have done it. But because they were like, I think you should go for it because you believe that you can. I did. I just went for it.
That's great. So, what I noticed is both of you mentioned your family, right? Both of you said that it was the support of your family initially that led to you picking the sport you did. And how important is it? I don't think people realize how tough it can be, that journey. People think your journey starts when you're on the screen or on a TV, but it takes a long time and a lot of sacrifices and effort to get to that point where you're on a TV or you're playing for a professional club. And how important is family, and how important is it to block out all the negativity?
I think family for me is everything, because I think that's my biggest support system. And when I was 11, I shifted to Calcutta and staying away from them at a pretty young age. For me, it was easy because I was getting to do what I love the most, playing cricket. For my mom especially, because dad knew what I was doing, but my mom had no clue about what cricket is and how things go, and my sister also. So it was really tough for them. But eventually, yeah, they got to understand what this game is about and what I need to do to, like, probably achieve my dream and their dream as well. I think for me, family is really important because I hardly get to spend time with them. It's like I come home for about 25 days to a month in a
Yeah.
whole year, that too for 5 days, 6 days, not continuously. So
Yeah.
family means a lot to me, and they they've supported me, like, at my highs, my lows. They've always been there for me, and they come to watch my games. They're very weird things which my family does, probably, which I shouldn't be saying, but I would say, like, my dad's probably traveled the world to watch me play. Wherever I've played, he'll almost been there everywhere. My mom, she probably start praying when my game starts. She'll keep watching the scores and pray, and she's got her times, like, she won't pick her calls up. Dad won't use his phone when I'm playing. He'll just check scores. He won't pick up anybody's call. My sister won't eat food. She'll keep fasting till I'm batting or something like that.
That's
So
mad.
it's very weird. So they've been there always, whether I've done well or not. I think having a family to support you like that helps you a lot in achieving what you want, and I think I am lucky to have them and their support, like, in my life, or whatever little I've achieved in life. It's I think I owe it to them.
So quick question. So do you feel more pressure or less pressure when your family's in the stands watching?
I don't really look at the stands when they're here. Or probably if I get 100 or something, I'll if I'm nearing a milestone or something, I'll probably have it in mind, because I've done
Okay.
things for my sister. She's really
Uh,
happy with things like that. Like, there was a Rakhi gesture which was in a live game. It was Rakhi, and I couldn't meet her for that. I scored 100 in
uh,
a Lip Trophy final, and I showed my Rakhi, and it was a gesture for her. So things like that. But when
oh,
I enter
that's
the field, I don't
symbolic,
really
man.
see
That's
who's out
symbolic.
there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Amazing stories, dude. Avi, crazy. What about you, Akash? Similar?
Um, it's almost exactly what Abhimanyu just said. Like, my family has been my support system ever since I started playing football, even as a kid. And without their backing, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I mean, I still have a long way to go, but like, to reach this stage is a big thing for me. And without my family, I probably wouldn't have gotten here. My dad, ever since I was little, has always like pushed me to strive for greatness. So I think I owe a lot of my success to him. And my mom, you know how moms are. They're like,
Yeah.
um, so my mom has always been supportive. She wouldn't come for my games if I was playing outside of school, but she
Okay.
was always there for my games in school, like shouting and supporting me. So that was great. And she also did show up for my Durant Cup game at East Bengal, which she told me she wouldn't be able to come because she had school, but she bunked school and came for the game. And it was really, like, I was so happy because I saw her in the stands. But the thing is, with me, I'll look at people in the stands. Like, when we line up, I'll look around to see who I know is there, and then, like, as soon as the game kicks off, like, I am focused on the game, so I don't really bother about who's up there. But I was glad to know that they're there supporting me. So
Mm. Akash, you spoke a little bit about the scout who came and who met you after your Kiventa Cup game. Like, that must have been an insane moment, right? Like, I'm imagining the first time a scout comes and talks to you must have been like full of adrenaline. Like, oh my God, like what just happened? Like, this is crazy. Like, how was that feeling?
Uh, so this game was so during the Covento Cup, they select a handful of players to be part of an all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, they take the best players from each school who participate in the Covento Cup and make a team who play friendlies. They have a preseason, as in, it's not a preseason, it's like 1 month of training before they play games. And I we played East Bengal under 19 at the time. And after
Okay.
the game, this other guy who's currently playing for ETK in the ISL, Ankit Mukherjee, he and I were called to the side. So the coach spoke to us and he was like, "Are you interested in joining East Bengal?" So I was like, yeah, of course. Why not? Because it's one of the biggest clubs in India. So
Imagine
him,
someone says, no, I'm not interested.
yeah, that would be pretty big move. But yeah, he did talk to me and he's like, "Are you interested?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I am." And they took our contact details and they said they would let us know when we could join practice and stuff. And it was pretty big for me because um, I I mean I was part of Mohan Bagan before that. I was part of East Bengal I played under 13, under 14 there. Then I shifted to Mohan Bagan. After I went to Germany, I came back and then I joined Mohan Bagan. So um, it was I was happy to be recognized by another club because that's never happened before. I've always gone to a club and like just played for the club, and no one's ever recognized that. Yeah, he's got potential and he is good. So I think that was like a very defining moment in my life at the time.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, Abhi, similarly, like when the first time you got your Ranji Trophy call, right? At that point, you were playing under 23 for Bengal, I think, if I
I
remember
was playing under
correctly.
19.
Yeah, under 19, and you got your Ranji Trophy call up. Was
Yeah.
that something you expected, and what was your first reaction?
It was I was practicing at the my club which I was representing that year. It was YMCA, and we were doing a fielding session. And suddenly the official comes up and calls me and tells me that you've been selected for the Ranji team. I It was expected, not that much, but since it was in the news and my family keeps reading everything, I don't read the newspaper, so they keep reading and they're like, these are the guys who could be there in the team for the last two Ranji games. So it was exciting, and it was probably one session where I had to leave the session and call my family. I had a lot of missed calls because that guy had already told my dad, my mom, and sister to rush out from practice and call them. And my Mr. Apurva Desai was there, so I had to call them, and it was a really proud moment to be able to represent. And I was really lucky that it was a live game on TV and they could watch me play for the first time on television. So yeah,
So
I
cool,
really
man.
loved that moment.
And just going off that, like last year when you became captain,
Yeah.
that phone call also must have been a really proud moment, right? When you received the call saying they want you to lead the side.
Yes, that was because it's always a dream to play for Bengal and with the cricketing culture they have there. And I think to become the captain of the Ranji Trophy team was a special moment for me. It's a privilege, and I think I'm really proud to be leading a state like Bengal. So I think that was a
Wait, so
great moment.
did
And
you meet Saurav Ganguly or anything? Did he?
Of course.
yeah,
He's
he
Isn't he
was
mentally.
the
the
president
president
of
at that time.
Yeah.
CM?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, okay. Well,
He was at that time, but now he's gone to the
Now, yeah.
BCCI. But
general question from my end. This is like out of my innate curiosity. Like one thing that's different about your fields and our fields is the fact that, man, like look, if like supposing I'm trying to become a data scientist, right? Like there's so many different companies who are hiring people like me. You know, if I can't get a job here, I can go somewhere else and get a job. That way, there's a lot more, broadened flexibility, right? With you guys, it's very cutthroat because it's like a very narrow top down thing for both you and Abhimanyu, right?
yeah.
So like you have certain clubs, you have A team, B team, senior team, stuff like that. So like how cutthroat is the competition? Like do you have some kind of a story, or like just tell us like how cutthroat is it? Because like everyone's going hard every day training. Like I'm sure you guys can't take like lax too much because performances show on the field. Like how cutthroat is the situation really?
I think in my opinion, because football isn't as big as it is in other countries, it's a little difficult. But once you set a mark for yourself, I mean, so once you make a name for yourself, playing for one big club, it becomes easier for you to find clubs because there's always people watching. So you play well, there might be another club interested in you, and they contact you. So that way, it's not all that bad. But when you're playing in the lower leagues and the lower divisions, it's pretty difficult because there's not many people come to watch the lower leagues. So it's difficult for you to progress unless you make significant improvements in maybe a year or 2 years.
So in your case, Abhimanyu, I mean, it's not the club system in terms of it is not like that, right? Where you can't switch states to play. It's not that easy. That you have to keep performing well in the first division to keep getting selected in the state team, right? So
Yeah.
how difficult is the competition in division cricket for, and how many sacrifices do you have to make in terms of training to get to where you are now?
Firstly, I'd say the difference between probably another career and a sports person is the career span. I think is smaller as a sports person. There's a particular age you can play, and then you have to retire or probably do something else. So I think that's a big difference. So you don't have that much time to probably realize your potential and then improve and things like that. So you have to do it really quick because there's a lot of competition, especially in India. If you're thinking, every other household has a cricketer who wants to play for the country and things like that. So I think that's very good to like. There's a lot of competition in that sense. And for me personally, I think I was very lucky enough to play under 16 and then under 19 for Bengal. And then when I was doing well for under 19, I got selected for the Ranji team. So that's probably the easier route to play first class cricket because if you're playing club cricket, there are a lot of players, and then you need to perform a lot more and then get into the team. And I think in sports, if you play want to play for the country, so there are a lot of factors which influence you being selected. Suppose in cricket, there are only 15 players who are going to play in the team, and
Mhm.
suppose you're doing well, and there are guys who are really performing well, and suppose you're doing well at your position, but there's no space in the Indian team at that position. So those are factors which really make a difference. I think those are things which make the competition even more. And in sports, I think it's more about performing every single day because the amount of competition we have, if you don't score in a couple of games, people try and they just forget you, and there's somebody else who's performing better. So I think it's about performing every single day and proving it that you are still there and to be there in the reckoning to play
Mhm.
for the country. I think that's a big challenge for a sports person, not just a cricketer. In every
Yeah.
sport, you just need to keep performing every single day to make sure that you're there and people know who you are and how you
Mhm.
play and how you win games for your team. So I think that's a
Mhm.
thing for me.
So I kind of feel like we have made a segue into this entire idea of like the mentality you need to have. Now, obviously, you guys are playing sports, right? You need to have a certain kind of mentality, to be good at what you
Yes,
do.
because I
Like,
don't
so
think a common person like me or Akshay will kind of understand how different the mentality is when you're playing with your friends actually, or
hey, speak for
comparing to.
yourself, buddy. Speak for yourself.
No, no. So sorry, Akshay, you're a pro. Yeah. So you guys want to tell us about the mental aspect of the game, which I personally think is definitely far more important than the skill aspect in terms of international or like at a high level.
Mental aspect, I think, is probably the most important thing for a sports person or probably whatever you're doing in any field. But for a sports person, it is really important because as sports people, I think we don't really stay with our family. For me, I would say that I don't really stay with my family. I stay alone. So like when I'm staying alone, so you have a good day or a bad day, I think it's about you. You can just talk to your parents or your friends on the phone. You don't have anybody near you. Probably you have your teammates, but it depends on how their mood is or how they want to spend their evening and things like that. I think is the most difficult thing as a cricketer or a sports person, to just switch it off and then come back again and then do your stuff. Because especially in cricket, you'll have good days, you'll have bad days, but just to come back and prepare the way you want to, and just to sacrifice things. Probably you're not feeling well or you're not feeling too fresh in the morning, but you have a training session or a practice session which you need to do just to push yourself to just complete that session. Or
Mhm.
something you have to do for your teammate. Probably you're tired after the session and somebody from your team just tells you to chuck balls to him because he's not in form and you want him to get into form, things like that. I think those are things which make a really big difference to be
Mhm.
mentally strong. And
Mhm.
especially in cricket, with the amount of cricket we have these days, it's really difficult to cope up with it. If you're doing well, if you're not doing well, there are a lot of distractions. Just to keep them away, probably have a good diet, whatever you need to do to train on time. If you don't have those conditions, just to make sure somehow you arrange for situations and train. Probably in a lockdown period, not
Mhm.
everybody has access to the gym or things like that, but at home, you need to find ways to train because that's something you can do. I think those
Mhm.
things are what matter a lot.
Mhm.
And this is what I think it's about how much motivated you are to do well. So that the hunger really makes the difference.
Sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think being being part of any sport, you need to have your mental strength has to be up there because you your you have to perform at practice during games day in day out. So any lapse could seriously affect your career. So mentally you need to be strong to you're gonna get you're gonna get shit from the coach when you don't play well, right? So you have to be strong enough to take that and turn that into a positive and work hard towards whatever you want to achieve. And I think with me, because I've gone through two knee surgeries and I've come back from it, even though I personally at one point felt like I probably wouldn't be able to take it up as a career. But after going through that, I feel like if I can go through that, I feel like I can go through it. Like mentally, I'm strong enough to go through anything. So.
Aakash, you just spoke about your two knee surgeries, right? I wanted to understand from you. It's so easy to give up when you have one ACL tear, let alone two, and you had two on the same knee. And when you have that, what is the thing that motivates you? What were you telling yourself? Did giving up football as a career ever come across your mind?
So the first time I tore my ACL, I didn't. When I tore my ACL, I had no idea what an ACL was until I did some research and the doctors told me what it was. And at that time, I was very focused on just getting back to being fit, and I wanted to just get onto the field and play. So I was more concerned about the outcome of this entire injury rather than the whole process of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I lacked the first time I had my surgery. But there was after I recovered, I was obviously sure that it's not going to happen again, and I was training regularly. I was doing whatever I had to do, and when it happened the second time, obviously I went through a really dark phase because I was. I mean, I can't explain how it felt, but it was terrible. Like I was devastated. But once I had my second surgery and I started doing my rehab again, I told myself that this time when I am in my rehab process, I am going to make sure that I'm going to take it one step at a time. I'm going to learn more about my injury and how to prevent it from happening a third time and all of that. And I never really thought that I never thought about my football career. I just thought about getting better. So every day was a small step in getting better. So maybe a couple of days after my surgery, it was walking, then walking without a limb, maybe bending my knee, being able to squat properly without pain. So stuff like that. It was like small goals I set myself every day. So once I recovered.
That's crazy. I remember I was watching, I think, a city documentary, right? And I can't imagine as an athlete, like you're used to running all day and, kicking footballs and stuff like that. And then you slowly have to learn how to walk again. Like, that's crazy.
So, Abhimanyu, like similar to Aakash, right? On a personal career basis, like last year you had a great, the year before last you had a great season, and I mean just this season gone by. In terms of the team, it was a great season, but as per your personal expectations, it didn't go as well as you had hoped, right? So, how do you deal with telling yourself that I have to get better, and how much mentally, what kind of toll does it take on you, and how do you tell yourself to keep going?
I think the 18-19 season for me had been like a dream season. I was getting in every game I was playing. And I think after that I got hundreds for India. I got a double hundred for India, and I think that was probably a dream period every player wants to have. And then to come to the next season, you lead the team, and then you probably do decently in the white ball cricket, and then you come to red ball cricket and you don't get runs at all. I probably scored about 250 runs in 10 games or so. So I think it was really challenging, and I think these are things which make you tough as a person, because you come to the ground, you work hard, you give it everything, and then you go to the ground and things don't work out. I think those are things which make you tougher. And then when you don't get runs in the game, and then you again come back to the ground for practice session, you again want to push yourself and believe that yes, I am the same player who got those runs last year, and I can do it, and I will do it, and I will win this game for my team. and then to go again and you don't perform. So that is tough. And at that time, it's about being positive, and that's when your belief comes into play. You think about the times you've been through, staying away from family, training, practicing, playing a game in about 50 degrees. It's humid and you're still doing it for your team, and you won games for your team. So I think I keep reminding myself of those things. I keep watching old videos of mine which motivate me. I keep watching stuff on Netflix and things like that, which is probably inspiring and things like that. I keep reading about sports people, and I think it's part of the journey. The highs and lows will come, but I think it's about just giving it your 100% every single day on the field. I think that's the biggest thing in a sports person's life. No matter how much you practice or you work hard, there's no guarantees in life.
Okay, when you guys have a great day at the office, how do you celebrate? What's your best way to celebrate?
I think
uh,
you celebrate in the moment, but then you know that if you want this to happen again, you need to get back to training and you need to work.
But
So I
do
think
you not take a day off, Akash? Like, you think, chal bro, today I scored 4 goals. Like, let me just rest one day. Like, let me take a break.
not really, no, because I want to continue scoring 4 goals, right? So if I take a day off, it's like another. There are other players who are training that day, and I'm not training.
Okay, but what would be better would be like, do you have some kind of like, let's say you score a hat trick during a match, right? Like, are you like, okay, today was a great day. I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna eat belt these parathas today. I'm gonna order Chinese tonight. Like, come on, it has to be something you guys do to celebrate, man. When you have a good day. Small.
So during season, no.
Huh.
Whatever we celebrate as a team, we celebrate post-season. But personally, no. I mean, you celebrate as in you call your girlfriend, you call your parents, you tell them, yeah, this is what happened, and you share your happiness with them. But then, when it comes to cheat meals and stuff, no. I don't do that.
What about you?
I think for us, if you do well on the ground, that's probably the happiest moment. You don't need to celebrate it much. You enjoy that moment, and that's what you work hard for. You feel that this is what I wanted, and I've got that. Because a celebration for somebody else probably who's not playing sports is doing well at his job and then celebrating. But us achieving that after all that hard work, that's the best feeling. What I do is I call my family. They follow my game and everything. I call them and I talk to them and I talk to my coach and my friends and everything. And then I think, like what Akash said, we need to refocus and need to do what is like what's our job. Think if you play a game and you've got a day off next day, so probably focus on recovery, probably a pool session or a massage and things like that, so that you just get back into it and do what needs to be done in that day. So
I
that's
think
about it.
now I know why Akshay and I didn't become professional athletes. I think if any of us did well, we would be out for the next 1 week celebrating. How important is it having teammates who are successful? Like I have it here that Abhimanyu, you've played with, of course, Manoj Tiwari, Ashok Dinda, all of these guys who've represented India. Akash, you've played in your team, Jamshedpur FC. There is Subrato Pal and Antonio Iriondo. That guy has coached Ayobalo Calo in the La Liga, right?
Yeah. So when you play college football, school football, there's no pressure. It's more fun. But once I joined the reserve team, it was difficult for me to adapt to that sort of football because I hadn't been. The last time I played professionally was in 2016 when I was playing in Chennai, and I didn't play for 2 years, and then I was thrown into professional football again. It was a little overwhelming, and at the same time, it was difficult for me to adapt. But I mean, I did whatever I could to adapt and get used to that style of football again. And after we had two preseason friendlies, one against Real Kashmir and one against Chennai FC. Chennai FC play in the ISL and Real Kashmir play in the I League. So I played relatively well against Real Kashmir and I scored against Chennai. So I think after that, I was called for the first team training. And the first day I was there, it was, I was starstruck because I've grown up watching these guys play on TV. And to suddenly be in the mix and play around them and play with them. It was incredible. So the first day I was obviously pretty nervous, but I had a bad first day, to be fair. But thankfully I was called back after that. So it was a learning process. I learned a lot throughout the season from them, and they were always there to help. Like if you were doing something wrong or if you wanted position, they wouldn't shout or like batter you for it. They would come up to you and be like, you should be here or you should be there, and very very nicely explain to you why being in this position is better than being where you are right now. So
Hmm.
it was incredible, and the atmosphere was amazing to be around.
That's great, man. What about you, Abhimanyu? Were you also starstruck?
Uh, I was actually because that's as a kid you always go to Eden Gardens and watch the Ranji Trophy team playing, and it was I've seen Dinda bowl his heart out and win games for Bengal, and to see Manoj Bhai also winning games for Bengal, scoring hundreds and double hundreds. So it was a real honor to just represent the team and to be practicing along with them. So yes, on the first day I was a bit nervous and looking at them and just thinking how would they practice and how would I face Dinda and things like that. Yeah, it was exciting, and especially in the nets, it's always exciting to play against an Indian bowler or used to bat along with a guy who's represented India and you've seen him do well for the country. There was a
Yeah.
time when Manoj had scored his first international 100 against West Indies and he was back from
Yeah.
that. So I think it was amazing to be practicing with them and just to getting to see them bat, see them bowl, and ask them questions. Initially, it was difficult, but with time, I was quite open with them, and I could ask them about everything. And
Hmm.
obviously, with the experience they have a lot to share, and I think we've got a lot to learn from them. And
Hmm.
till date, also, I think I keep asking them questions, be it about probably a situation or probably a shot or probably
Hmm.
playing in different conditions. So I think it was really good and a great learning to be practicing along with those guys.
Hmm. Okay, so honestly, moment right now, when you guys both went for your first training session with these senior players or more, more cap players and experienced players, like, so the first training session that you had when you played against them for the first time, like, what did you feel? Did you feel like, okay, these guys are, my God, they're on a different level. I'm going to have to work like crazy, or did you feel like, hey, what, it wasn't that bad actually? Like, I can make this happen. I can work harder and I kind of will make it here. It's not that much of a stretch for me. Like, what was that like?
So for me, it was a little overwhelming, as I said, because the, they, the kind of football they play is really really fast. So
Hmm.
it's it's pass and release, and I mean it's receive and release. So
Yeah.
getting used to the pace of the game took me a while, but I
Hmm.
knew, I knew in me that I could potentially play at this level um, very soon. But it was just that a week, that adjustment period, which was
Hmm.
a little difficult. But once I got past that, I was very very comfortable.
That's and Abhi?
Interesting.
Uh, what I felt was, yes, obviously there was excitement and everything, but I could see there was a difference in the skill level when I made my debut when I was 18. So yes, I could see the skill level. There was a difference with the shots they could play. Probably I had a very limited game at that time. I couldn't really play the shots which Manoj Tiwari was playing in the nets or probably in a game. So I
Hmm.
knew that I had some qualities which probably they had, but their skill level was much better than mine. So I knew I had to work a lot after that season. I played 4 games in that season, and then I knew that what were the things I needed to work on. So yeah, I did work on them, and now I feel that with time and with their help and my coaches and everything, I could probably extend my skill and improve on that. And fitness part was always there. I felt I was fit enough to play at that level. But I think skill level, I could feel the difference on day one.
So he mentioned fitness level as well, right? Those guys, their fitness level is it's insane. So that was another thing that I had to work on. They were very very skillful. Technical abilities were far far superior.
Yeah.
So those were a couple of things that I had to work
Imagine
on.
you are saying they were fitter than you, then what's the state of us, bro?
Hid his bag after his shower.
On tour especially, there must be lots of pranks, both of you guys.
Pranks, I think there have been a lot of pranks, I think. But I'd like to share a story which was probably off field. So there was this guy who was playing in Bengal also, and he was from UP actually, and he went to play a tournament in Odisha. So like we see there's club cricket on Odisha. So there was this coach who was pretty old, and he would just make sure that he has a good team and everything. So the guy who was coming was traveling from Calcutta, and his train got delayed. So the match started, and the coach had to come pick the guy up from the railway station. So he had his scooter, and he was coming to pick up the guy, and he picked him up. And the guy's got his kit bag on his back, and they're going to the ground. And so the guy is asking him everything about the game, like what time's the game and who are we playing against and things like that. So he's like, "Sir, how's the pitch?" It's a turning track and everything. He's explaining. He's like, "Sir, do we have good spinners?" He was playing for the first time. So the guy is driving the scooter like this, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got two left-arm spinners and a leg spinner." And he actually turns the scooty and both fall down on the ground. And the guy is injured. He's in hospital for 3 days, and he comes back to Calcutta. He doesn't play the game. Two left-arm spinners and a leg spinner, and they're down.
That's mad, dude.
My God. That's crazy.
Dude, that's mad.
At least he was driving a bus.
So we've not had any locker room stuff because our teachers were really strict about all of that. So I think it was just one time during practice. It was one of our teammates' birthday. So we asked our coach if we could, throw eggs on him and throw flour on him and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, you can, but only after practice." So we got eggs and flour ready from the kitchen. And while we were cooling down, we went and we threw the eggs on him and sprinkled the flour on him. And he hated it, but it was pretty fun. Everyone did it. Everyone got on to doing it.
Who's the one athlete you guys looked up to? It doesn't have to be from your sport, but any athlete you guys looked up to, people you idolized growing up who kind of inspired you to take up sports?
I think for me it's always been Rahul Dravid. I think I really loved the way he batted in in different conditions in test matches when the team was probably 10 for 3 or something like that. He would bail the team out and win a test match for his country and things like that. I think obviously he wasn't too expressive on the field. He wouldn't say much, but I think the aggression he had in his batting, not many people realize that. I think with time he was an aggressive player, but he was one of those guys in the team who was able to take it up in different situations. And when the team was in tough times, he was the guy who would put his hand up and take the responsibility. And in one-day cricket also, he wanted to play, but he had to keep for the team. And I think he improved on his keeping a lot and things like that. I think those things inspired me a lot.
So how was it when you first met him, Abhimanyu? Because you had the chance to work under him. Did you tell him all of this?
I couldn't say all of this to him, but it was a really weird moment for me. I got selected for the India A team, and we were in Vizag, and we had a game in a couple of days, and so we were having breakfast before practice, and I was generally sitting with my teammates and having breakfast, and suddenly somebody comes from the side, and he's like, he puts his hand up, and he's like, "Hi, Abhimanyu, I'm Rahul." And for probably 3-4 seconds, I couldn't really say anything, and I was like, "Why does he need to introduce himself to me?" So I just stood up and I was like, "Hello, sir, I'm Abhimanyu," and he's like, "Let's, how are you and everything?" And it was really weird for him to introduce it to me.
Each of you, what's the best and worst coaching advice you've ever got so far?
I'd say the best. I think I've got it from a lot of people, but what's been the best advice been to stay in the present. I think it's much easier said than done, because that's probably been that's the biggest challenge for any person in life, to just live in the moment and stay in the present. I think that's been the best advice. And worst advice, it's kind of funny, but it was during I was playing second division league in Calcutta, and I wasn't getting runs that season. So I had a senior in our team. He was a fast bowler, a gentle medium pacer. So he came up to me and he was like, "I think I know what's your problem. You're playing too many shots, and what you need to do is you need to bat all day and just defend the ball on the stumps and leave whatever is outside off." So I sat down. I was thinking for a minute, and then I just realized, if I just defend the ball on the stumps and leave what's outside of stump, where will I score? How will I get those runs? I think that's probably the worst advice I've ever got.
Bro, that's mad. What about you, Akash?
Um, I think the best advice I've ever gotten was my coach once told me you can't please everybody when you play. So, you just do your thing. You just forget about what other people have to say. If you feel like you're doing the right thing, then obviously go for it, because I don't think you should I don't think other people's opinions on you should matter, and I don't think you should be bothered by it. So that's really something that stuck with me for a while. I mean, it'll stick with me forever. I think the worst advice is, this is pretty stupid, but this is what one coach actually told me. So I was in the CCFC changing room. We had just finished a practice
Yeah.
match, and I was settling my hair. Okay, so I had wax in my hand, and I was like doing my hair. This coach walked in, and he's like, maybe if you didn't focus on doing your hair so much, you probably would have scored that goal. And I was like caught off guard. So I was like, I'm sorry. So he's like, yeah, players your age should concentrate on football. Don't think about doing your hair. Forget about the hairstyles. Forget about girls. Don't get tattoos. Don't get piercings. All this spoil your game. I was like, okay. And he was a pretty big dude in the football, in Indian football. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I mean, I don't think what he said was right, but I was like, okay, cool. And then later on, I realized, looking back, I was like, oh, that's terrible advice. There's so many footballers who've got piercings, who've got tattoos, who focus on the hair, but they still play. It's about doing your thing on field.
Yeah.
So
Obviously, you guys have had like a very storied career up to this point, right? In terms of y'all have seen a lot of ups, y'all have seen a lot of downs. So what's your biggest career high, and also what do you consider your lowest low? Of course.
For me, the highest point would be the 18-19 season, where I got 861 runs in 6 Ranji games.
That's mad.
And then I scored 100 against England Lions, and in the next game I scored a double 100 against Sri Lanka, which had probably 4 international bowlers. And then I was in the reckoning for the South Africa tour. I think that's been the highest point for me in my career. And lowest point, I'd say, on a team point of view, I think we played the Ranji finals last year. But if I see my personal thing, it wasn't too great. I think I didn't really get those runs and perform where I should have, and got those runs for my team. I think that was a low point, but I think there was a lot of learnings in that too. And I think I've obviously seen the videos and analyzed what I could have done better and things like that. And I hope I'll just do my work and work hard, and I'll come back with the bang next year, like next
Sure,
season.
bro. I'm sure. Akash, what about you?
I think my career high would be, one would be scoring in the Durand Cup in front of, there were thousands of people watching online. That, and being called up for first team practice, which was,
Yeah.
as a young guy who's
Yeah.
at that level, to be called up like that, it's
Yeah.
pretty stupid for it, right? So, and I think my lowest would be after I tore my ACL the second time,
Okay.
because honestly, at that time, I thought I was done for. So,
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate you guys taking your time out to join us and share your stories. I mean, I learned a lot, and I'm very inspired right now. Like, just hearing about the sacrifices you guys made and where you are currently. And I really wish you guys best for the future. And I hope you guys reach and achieve all the dreams you all set out to do so far, like, and in the future.
thank you
Okay,
so
but
much.
before you
Thank you
guys
so
go, you
much.
guys have to make us a promise also. Like when you all make it to the national team, you all have
Come
to
back.
come back for a round 2 episode if you're still around.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Man.
hopefully
Now
that
we have
happens soon with both of us.
no. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And do let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.